Imagine realizing that up to 30% of your annual revenue is just, well, quietly evaporating this year.
Just completely gone.
Right. And not because of a sudden market crash and not because your product is failing, but simply because your leadership team is making crucial million-dollar decisions based on month-old spreadsheets.
Yeah, that's a painful reality for a lot of people right now.
It really is. You're trying to chart a course forward, but your map only shows where you were 30 days ago. Welcome to the deep dive. I am Lex.
And I am Vera. Welcome to the C9 Podcast Show.
We are incredibly glad to have you with us today, especially those of you joining us from the C9 community.
Absolutely. We're speaking directly to you, the Australian business owners and C-level executives who are, steering the ship through some uniquely complex waters in 2026.
Yeah, and our mission today is to fundamentally deconstruct how modern leaders are mastering something very specific. We're talking about the effective decision.
That phrase, the effective decision, it's just so critical right now. And we're going to unpack that concept using a classic, highly proven 5-step decision-making framework.
Right, so we'll be walking through classifying the problem, defining it, specifying the answer, deciding what is right, and finally carrying it out.
Exactly. And to anchor this framework in reality, we're pulling insights from a really deeply researched source text. It's titled Predicting Prosperity: AI Dashboards for Australian Business in 2026.
Let's just jump right into those first two steps, right? Classifying and defining the problem. Because, if you misdiagnose the illness, the cure is completely useless.
Spot on. And the source paints a pretty harsh reality for the Australian business environment right now. Executives are getting squeezed from literally every direction.
Yeah, we're looking at climbing labor expenses, heavily elevated energy prices, and just rising input costs across the board.
And what makes those pressures so acute is the broader context. All of this is happening within subdued market conditions.
Right, which means
a few years ago, businesses might have simply passed those rising costs onto the consumer. But right now, the market just won't bear it. Consumer spending is really tight.
So the margin squeeze is intense.
It's massive.
Yeah.
But the source points out something crucial here. The economy is just the weather. The root problem, the actual structural disease inside these companies, is an over-reliance on legacy systems and lagging data visualizations.
So the real danger isn't just the rising costs. It's the inability to see them coming in time to actually react. Australian executives are essentially trapped in these fragmented data silos.
Precisely. They have, one system for inventory, a completely different legacy system for sales, maybe a third for logistics.
And none of them talk to each other.
None of them.
It makes me think of, how we used to navigate before smartphones. Trying to run a complex, modern business on historical data is, it's like trying to drive a high-speed car on a winding road by only looking in the rearview mirror.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. Sure, it tells you where you've been, but eventually you are going to crash into a supply chain bottleneck or a stockout because you're driving completely blind to the immediate realities of the road ahead.
That is a perfect conceptualization. If you're relying on that rear view mirror, which in this case is a static report generated from last month's data, you might feel like you know where you are.
But you're missing the cliff.
Exactly. You couldn't see the disruption forming. And the financial impact of that is just staggering. The research shows that operational inefficiencies are costing Australian businesses anywhere from 20 to 30% of their annual revenue.
Let's really pause on that number for a second. Up to 30% of annual revenue.
Yeah.
That is not just a little bit of waste. That's the difference between leading the market and shutting the doors.
And that lost revenue is hiding everywhere. It's an overstocked inventory sitting in warehouses just gathering dust. Or it's unexpected cash flow crunches because, a payment cycle wasn't forecasted correctly.
And when you're bleeding that much revenue, leadership teams get trapped in this relentless cycle of reactive firefighting. You're just bailing water out of the boat instead of actually steering it.
You're exhausted just trying to stay afloat.
But, if this is costing companies a third of their revenue, why is it still happening? The pain is obvious to anyone looking at the book, so why haven't these executives already fixed it? Is it just stubbornness?
Well, no. The source identifies a really fascinating dual barrier here. It's not just a lack of access to raw numbers. Often companies actually have way too much data.
Oh, right. They're drowning in it.
Exactly. The barrier is a severe lack of internal skills, coupled with the crushing burden of manual reporting. Think about the human toll this takes.
The spreadsheet jockeys?
Yeah. You have a workforce spending days manually exporting CSV files from 4 different systems, trying to stitch them together in Excel just to build a single historical report.
Oh man, the manual labor is just so exhausting that by the time the report is done, nobody has the cognitive energy to actually analyze what it says.
The reporting process itself kills the strategic thinking. The human workforce is functioning as a very slow, very expensive data pipeline, rather than functioning as strategic analysts.
Okay, so if the manual reporting is draining all our strategic energy, the solution can't just be, give me more data. It has to be data that does the heavy lifting for us.
Which brings us to the third step of an effective decision.
Specifying the answer.
Right. What does the solution actually look like in practice? And the urgency to define this is quantified by a major shift happening right now.
Let's hear the numbers.
So the Australian data analytics market was valued at $2.51 billion in 2025. It's projected to explode at a 25.3% compound annual growth rate.
Wow.
Yeah, reaching $23.94 billion by 2035.
Just to clarify for anyone unfamiliar, a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of over 25% is astronomical. That means the market is essentially doubling in size every few years.
It is massive. And what that tells us is that competitors are not waiting around. They're adopting advanced technology rapidly to capture market share early.
So what exactly are they adopting?
The specified answer to this problem, according to the text, is AI-powered predictive analytics dashboards. We have to move beyond what happened to what will happen, and crucially, what exactly we should do about it.
So moving from descriptive to prescriptive.
Exactly.
But how does that actually work? The source lists capabilities like 75 to 85% accuracy in demand forecasting and real-time anomaly detection. Those sound like great buzzwords, but what is the machine actually doing behind the scenes?
It really comes down to analyzing variables at a scale the human brain simply cannot process. Take anomaly detection, for instance.
Okay.
If a human looks at a spreadsheet, they might notice if sales dropped by 50% yesterday. That's an obvious anomaly.
Right, anyone would catch that.
But a machine learning model is simultaneously looking at thousands of subtle variables. Local weather patterns, minor shifts in raw material costs, social media sentiment, and historical buying cycles. It finds these hidden correlations.
Oh, I see. So it might notice that a seemingly insignificant port delay in Southeast Asia, combined with an upcoming local holiday, is going to cause a massive shortage of a specific component 3 weeks from now.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't just flag the anomaly. It provides a prescriptive recommendation.
So it tells you what to do.
Right. It doesn't just say, warning, supply chain risk. It says, based on current trajectories, we recommend increasing your buffer stock of this specific component by 15% immediately to avoid a stockout in week 3.
See, I have to push back here, though.
Go for it.
If a business is already struggling with disjointed legacy systems and an overwhelmed workforce, doesn't injecting complex artificial intelligence just make things worse? Aren't we just going to drown these non-technical executives in even more complicated algorithms and tech jargon?
Well, if the implementation is poor, yes, that is a very valid fear. Handing a CEO a heavier, more complicated spreadsheet generated by an AI is a complete failure.
Right. Nobody wants that.
Exactly. The specified answer in the source is not raw algorithmic output. The true solution relies entirely on intuitive data visualizations and natural language querying.
What does natural language querying mean in this context? Does that mean I can just talk to the dashboard, like treat it like a search engine?
Essentially, yes. Instead of needing a data scientist to write complex SQL code just to pull a report, an executive can type a plain English question into a search bar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you could ask, show me the forecasted Q3 supply chain bottlenecks in the Brisbane region. And the dashboard instantly generates a visual chart highlighting the risks.
That completely changes the dynamic. It democratizes the data.
It does. It turns overwhelming billions of data points into instantly accessible, clear operational directives. It removes that friction between having data and actually understanding it.
So we know we need predictive AI, and we know it needs to be intuitive. That brings us to step 4 of the effective decision framework, deciding what is right.
Not what is fastest, not what is cheapest.
Exactly. What is right for the specific context of the business? And the source dives deep into a major debate here. Off-the-shelf software versus tailored custom solutions.
And the text is incredibly clear on why off-the-shelf software so often fails in this specific landscape.
Why is that?
Generic software templates and forced workflows simply do not account for the reality of operating in Australia, We have very specific local regulations. We have incredibly strict data privacy standards. And the realities of local supply chains are just unique.
It's a bit like buying an off-the-shelf, one-size-fits-all suit to wear to a crucial investor pitch.
Oh, definitely.
Sure, it technically covers you, but it won't perform the way a tailored, custom-fit solution will when margins are tight and you need to look your best. Generic software forces your business to change how it operates just to fit the tool.
Which is completely backward. The tool should be molded to fit the business, which is why deciding what is right inevitably leads to custom analytic dashboard development.
And there's data to back this up, right?
Yes, real-world evidence. Global studies cited in the text show that these custom AI predictive tools lead to massive ROI. Specifically, 10 to 15% increases in sales and 15 to 20% reductions in operational costs.
And the source doesn't just throw out abstract numbers, it breaks it down by industry, which I think is where this really clicks for you as a listener. Take manufacturing, for example.
Right.
Companies are achieving a return on investment in just 6 to 18 months, and they're doing it primarily through predictive maintenance.
Which means using sensors on the factory floor to monitor things like tiny changes in machine vibration or temperature. The AI predicts an equipment failure before the machine actually breaks.
So you schedule maintenance during off hours, completely eliminating catastrophic unplanned downtime.
Exactly. Or look at retail. They're utilizing these custom models to optimize inventory, ensuring they have exactly enough stock to meet predicted local demand.
So they aren't paying exorbitant warehouse holding costs for excess product.
Exactly. And in healthcare, an international case study saw a 10% reduction in patient readmission rates.
Wait, really? How does AI prevent readmissions?
The AI was analyzing patient variables to predict who is most at risk, allowing staff to intervene early. And in finance, massive treasury savings are being realized because AI can forecast cash flow with pinpoint accuracy.
But if we look at this objectively, deciding what is right also means acknowledging the complexities. Custom development requires prioritizing data quality and governance from day one, right?
Oh, absolutely. You have to ensure that whatever solution you build can scale securely and integrate perfectly without disrupting your existing systems. You can't just halt your current operations while you upgrade your tech stack.
Which brings us to the fifth and arguably most critical step of the effective decision: carrying it out.
Because a decision is really just a theoretical good intention until it becomes a physical, repeatable process.
Right. How do businesses actually integrate these predictive models into their daily workflow?
This is where the source provides an implementation playbook. It details a proven, 6-step collaborative process used by C9 for carrying out this exact transition.
Let's interrogate that process. Step one is the discovery phase. Now, every tech company talks about discovery, but why is it so often a failure point?
Because standard discovery usually consists of a vendor looking at your current software and figuring out how to plug their generic product into it.
Trying to hammer a square peg into a round hole.
Exactly. The C9 approach is fundamentally different. It's about understanding your unique KPIs and your specific human pain points. There are absolutely no forced workflows.
So they aren't looking at your software first?
No, they're looking at how your business fundamentally makes money and where you're losing it.
That makes sense. You have to measure the terrain before you build the foundation. Step two is data integration and preparation. The source suggests this is the heavy lifting. They connect disparate ERP and CRM systems. And just for the sake of clarity, we're talking about enterprise resource planning systems, the software that runs your day-to-day operations and finances, and customer relationship management systems, which handle your sales data.
Exactly. And integrating them is how you completely eliminate those data silos we talked about earlier. You are building a single source of truth.
Because if the AI has bad data,
If the AI is feeding on dirty, disjointed data, you are going to get highly confident, entirely wrong predictions. The data preparation is non-negotiable.
step three is AI model development. And a key distinction here is that they're training custom machine learning models on the company's own proprietary data.
That is what makes the accuracy so unique. The model isn't making assumptions based on generic global industry averages. It is learning from your company's specific history, your specific customer behaviors, and your seasonal fluctuations.
Step four is dashboard and web portal creation. This is about building those user-friendly interfaces we discussed with role-specific views.
Right. Because a warehouse manager logging in needs to see a completely different set of predictive alerts than the chief financial officer. They both need clarity, but they need it for different actions.
Then step 5 covers testing, security, and deployment. This is where localized compliance is vital, ensuring the custom architecture meets all Australian data privacy standards and security protocols before it ever goes live.
And finally, step 6, training and ongoing optimization. Continuous monitoring and retraining of the model as the business itself evolves and market conditions shift.
I am so glad you highlighted that because there is a quote in the source material from an Australian manufacturing executive that really struck me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they said, switching to a custom predictive dashboard transformed how we plan. We now anticipate demand shifts weeks ahead, cutting waste and boosting confidence in every decision.
Confidence. That's a great word.
It is. The word that stands out is confidence. And it raises a huge question about the human element. How crucial is change management? Like, how do you get a veteran operations manager who has trusted their gut for 20 years to actually trust a machine when it tells them to adjust inventory by 15%?
That is the defining challenge of carrying out this decision.
Yeah.
It's why change management is make or break. You can engineer the most sophisticated, breathtakingly accurate predictive model on the market, but if your human workforce refuses to use it because they don't trust it, your return on investment is exactly zero.
Because to them, it just looks like a black box spitting out orders.
Exactly. When people don't understand how a decision is made, they reject it. That is why those intuitive visualizations and natural language queries are so important. They provide explainability.
Oh, so the dashboard doesn't just give a command.
Right. It shows the user exactly why the recommendation is being made, highlighting the underlying data trends. The final steps of training are about showing the workforce that this technology is not a replacement for their expertise. It's a highly capable collaborator. You have to build that trust systematically.
To bring this all together, let's look at the journey of the effective decision we've mapped out today. We started by classifying a painful, systemic problem, trying to run a modern Australian business using lagging historical data.
Navigating with a 10-year-old printed map while blind to the road ahead.
Exactly. We define the root cause as data silos and the exhausting burden of manual reporting.
From there, we specified the answer: AI-powered predictive analytics that shift leadership from reactive firefighting to proactive strategy.
We decided that custom development is the right path to navigate Australian regulations and unique business models. And finally, we explored how carrying out that decision requires a rigorous 6-step integration process focused heavily on clean data and human change management.
It represents a fundamental evolution in how a company breathes on a daily basis. Leadership teams stop asking what went wrong last quarter and finally have the tools to ask, what is the most profitable move for next month?
It creates a culture of foresight,
It really does.
which leaves us with a final, slightly provocative thought for you to ponder. Imagine walking into your office tomorrow. If your custom dashboard could accurately predict a major, unexpected shift in your customer's behavior 3 weeks before it actually happens, well, how would that fundamentally change your personal leadership style?
It completely changes the dynamic. It shifts your daily energy from managing crises to actually capitalizing on opportunities before your competitors even see them.
The reality is the cost of waiting is simply too high. Waiting means absorbing higher operational costs and losing market share in an environment that heavily rewards early adopters. If you are ready to stop looking at historical maps and start driving with absolute predictive clarity, you need to look at C9 Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company.
They are the absolute specialists in taking these overwhelming data challenges and systematically turning them into intuitive, custom-built solutions that drive real, measurable profitability.
Do not let another quarter slip by relying on guesswork. Contact C9 for a no-obligation discovery session. They will objectively evaluate your current systems, locate those crucial quick wins where revenue is currently leaking, and map out exactly how tailored predictive analytics can transform your operations. You can find them right now by visiting www.c9.com.au. And if you found today's deep dive valuable, please click that follow button. Share this with other business leaders in your network who could benefit from this knowledge. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.